What's good YouTube, Ben here, welcome to the next video on the channel. In this one, I'm going to give you my new Steel Path Viable build for Despair with its Incarnon Form. Let's get into this. Alright, so I finally got Despair's Incarnon Form. So the last Despair build I did didn't include Incarnon because I didn't have it at the time. But now we do, so we're going to rock the build today, and I want to show you guys what it can do. So Evolution 1, of course, is its normal Incarnon form. Then we've got Evolution 2. I went with Fatal Affliction, which is increased base damage by plus 50, plus 40% direct damage per status type effect on the target. The only reason I went for this one over the other one is because the other one requires you to have Dread and Hate equipped in order to get the bonuses. But I don't tend to equip like specific setups. I tend to go for more specific, like just more indirect ones, I guess, where I'll just equip what weapons I want to use at the time. If you are planning on using it with Dread and Hate, you might as well use it, but if not, then I'd stay with Fatal Affliction. Evolution 3, Swift Deliverance, plus 50% projectile speed. Out of the three options, which you've got projectile speed, you've got reload speed, and zoom, the projectile speed just seemed the best fit for it. And Evolution 4, Critical Parallel, increased base critical chance by 18%, increased base critical damage multiplied by plus 0.4 times. So it just increases what you can do. Then, we're rocking quite a few different... I need to quickly change my thing back over. I was testing another build, so let's just swap that back. So we're running Primed Target Cracker for 110% critical damage, Prime Pistol Gambit for 187% critical chance. You can run just normal Target Cracker and normal Pistol Gambit, although your critical damage and critical chance will be a bit lower, but you can still do that. Galvanized Crosshairs for on headshot plus 120% critical chance when aiming for 12 seconds, on headshot kill, plus 40% critical chance when aiming for 12 seconds, stacks up to 5 times. Galvanized Diffusion for 110% multi-shot and on kill, plus 30% multi-shot for 20 seconds, stacks up to 4 times. Hornet Strike for 220% damage. Pistol Pestilence for 60% toxin and 60% status chance. Frostbite for 60% cold and 60% status chance, and Lethal Torrent for 60% fire rate and 60% multi-shot. So we're rocking a fire rate of 5.33, a multi-shot of 2.7, reload time of 0.6 seconds. We've got critical chance at 97.6%. Of course, that gets boosted anyway by Galvanized Crosshairs when you get the critical headshots, which is very nice. A critical multiplier of 4.2 times, and the only element running on this is Viral. Now, the Incarnon Form is very interesting because it also does a bunch of AoE damage, which is really cool. But let's jump into the mission. I'll show you what this thing can do. Alright, so as per usual, I'll quickly go over why we're here at Oxymoko in the Void. So we're here because we're dealing with the Corrupted here, and the Corrupted deal with every kind of enemy type. Enemies with just health, enemies with health and shields, and enemies with high armor, giving you a more varied example of what your weapons are going to be capable of doing. So let's hop back in. Now, with this weapon, you're going to want to hit headshots, because headshots is where you're going to get the bulk of your damage. Of course, that goes the same with any weapon, but because of the mod setup we're running, you do want to try and aim for as many headshots as possible. But charging the Incarnon Form on this weapon does not take long at all, and you get 20 shots with it. Now, it does, like, ridiculous amounts of AoE, so when you're spamming it, and hitting a bunch of enemies at one time. Oh, really? An elevator again. I hate elevators in these stages because it slows down my multipliers, but it's alright, I guess. Let's go. Another thing I want to quickly point out as well, as I normally do, so this is touted as a Steel Path viable build, because it is viable for you to use on the Steel Path. Now, is it potentially the best possible build to ever exist for this weapon? No. Is this build going to get you to level 9,999 enemies? Probably not. What it will do is give you a viable build that you can use on the Steel Path that's probably a bit different to a lot of other people's builds. So, before I get any comments on the video saying that, you know, the build sucks because it can't get you to level 9,999 enemies, I guarantee you that most casual players aren't trying to do that. So, I mean, the fact I have to keep mentioning as well that it's called a viable build is astounding, because it's in the title of every build. You know, viable is a word that's in the dictionary. Like, viable means it's usable. But it is what it is, and as per usual, I will stay in long enough to show you how this works against Acolytes, which, by the way, it works pretty darn well against Acolytes from my testing. Like, it works pretty darn well, so... But building its Incarnon literally does not take long whatsoever. I think you can do it in actually 4 shots, as long as they're headshots. They have to be headshots for you to trigger Incarnon. Which is fine, because the Incarnon form on this is actually a massive benefit. With some weapons, they don't benefit as much. Like, let's say Latem, for example. Latem's Incarnon form's cool, but it's not necessary for, like, most builds for the weapon, really. Mainly because Latem works just fine on its own. There are some weapons where it just doesn't benefit much. Like, the only reason you would want to get the Incarnon forms is purely for the natural bonuses it gives. But for this weapon, it really does benefit because, you know, Despair itself is a fine weapon. Like, I love the weapon. I think it's great, you know. It's a throwing knife that actually does damage. You know, we're looking at you like, kunai. But at the same time, like, it does more than well enough so that you could, you know, you don't need to use the Incarnon form. I've also got another build on my channel in the playlist where I don't have the Incarnon adapter, like I said earlier on, because I didn't have it when I did my first build. To put it bluntly, when I did the first build, I didn't know it even had one. Like, it was possible to get an Incarnon. I knew that Dread had one, but I didn't know that the other Stalker weapons did too. Which, again, is fine, because if you don't know, you don't know. Also, another one I want to point out as well, so the reason I've not gone for secondary... what's it called now? Is it secondary dexterity? The one where you get, like, bonus damage for doing, like, headshots. Is primarily because of the consistency. You're not always going to hit headshots, especially if you're me. I don't have the best accuracy. So, like, because of that, you can change the arcane for the one that goes on headshots if you want. But I'm just using Merciless just for general usage. Which, as you can see, works absolutely fine. I'm shredding through enemies here, which is great. The only enemies that are slightly slow are heavily armored ones, but as long as you get headshots, you can get them out in a few seconds, which is quite nice. Shielded enemies are slightly slower as well, purely because you're running viral here. We're putting through health, not shields. But a lot of the time, you'll bypass anyway, so it's fine. Right, cool. The Acolyte's coming in, which is great. Let's go. Incarnon activated. Right. And there goes the Acolyte. In all of about 2 seconds. That's how quickly you can take out Acolytes with this build. This build is nutty. Not to mention, it just shreds. Like, I love this weapon purely because of how fast it can shred the Acolyte. Like, it shreds them fast. Like, as long as you're primarily using Despair to build up its multipliers and everything, Acolytes are no issue. You shred through them insanely quickly. But yeah, let me know what you think about this video in the comments down below. Don't forget you can also support the channel further by becoming a channel member from as little as 99 pence per month. And don't forget I do live stream. When I go live here on YouTube and over on Twitch, TikTok at the same time. My streams here on YouTube are more for the shorts feed, so more for mobile. But if you want to catch the exact same streams at the exact same time in full 1080p, then feel free to join me on Twitch and TikTok. Those links are in the description below. And don't forget I also do exclusive video content on TikTok. I'll catch you guys in the next one.